Come back from the break. You're still watching This Week, and I'm Samna Sambu. Next is the spate of illegal migration and the federal government's new drive to curb the desperate journey for greener pastures abroad. To reverse the trend, the federal government says it is working on a public sensitization program aimed at discouraging illegal migration among youths and encouraging them to explore legal labor migration opportunities instead. Minister of Labor and Employment, Dr. Muhammadu Maigari Dingyadi, said this in his remarks when he received a delegation from the Giessen Freiburg. The government says there is the need to increase public institutional and grassroots awareness of the 2025 National Migration Policy and stakeholders' understanding of the implementation of its integrated implementation plan, ensuring broad understanding, ownership, and readiness for implementation at national, state, and community levels. Well, to help us understand the issues, we have joining us right now in the studio a migration governance and policy expert, Reverend Father Emeka Chris Obiezu. He's the National Coordinator of Civil Society Network on Migration and Development. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, so let me just start by asking that, do you think that the government's efforts are convincing enough to want to stop young people from going out? I mean, especially when the economic climate seems unfavorable.
Yeah, I think what the policy provides for us is a holistic approach to migration, which is not just about stopping people from moving irregularly, which is key, but to explore the wider dimensions that migration brings to national development. By this, provide a spectrum of coverage that protects migrants' rights, as well as also initiate development-led actions that will make people first have a choice to stay in the country, and then if they have to move, then they have to also move it in right, dignity, and honor. So looking at that framework, the policy looked at 6 priority areas. Okay. The first one of that is to facilitate or enhance regular mobility, and then labor migration as well, and then harness the benefits that migration brings to development, looking at what diaspora bring in. So within that particular priority, the policy provides its actors, which is the implementers of that policy, the framework to engage in different development aspects of the country, look at the critical actors or targets that such development targets, and then ensure that they are close to them. And this is why we are looking at youth incentives. Mm-hmm. So to implement that, a number of factors are working together, increasing youth capacity to do things within here, and also opportunity to migrate regularly by providing regular migration pathways like skilled hunting and all the rest of them. And then on that same level also, we find out that migrants who are in Nigeria, just like foreigners who are in Nigeria who are working, are also expected to be protected and given a safety within the space.
So the policy covers that too?
Yeah, the policy covers this as well. Yeah. And as well as looking at those who were on irregular status in different countries, but those countries do not want to regularize their stays, and then we want to bring them back. So the policy provides that if these people have to come back, they have to be returned in dignity, they have to be admitted back into the country, and then help to reintegrate in a sustainable manner. So the fourth of that aspect of the priority is for us to provide a data that enables us to do policy. And what this data does is it looks at different dynamics and indices that talk about migration, and see how much we get data for that effect. So these are some of the elements that the policy provide. And I think our conviction is, especially those who are working around that policy, is that if this policy hits the road in terms of getting the ownership to be implemented, that it will provide those opportunities for people to limit the tendency of irregular migration and then increase opportunities for regular migration, as it were.
Yeah, and so when is this policy expected to kick off? I mean, because we've seen consultations and all of that, different meetings and engagements across the country. Has the government set a date for its final kickoff?
Yeah, the process of reviewing the policy, which started last year, ended in April this year, precisely on the 29th of April, when the technical working group on that issue validated the document reviewed. Now, it has been transmitted to the process of getting to the Federal Executive Council, who will finally do the adoption. That is the only thing holding it for now. And we know with all the things around the table of that council, as soon as that is adopted, the process is set. All actors are ready to get that running in terms of implementing the aspects of the migration policy.
All right, talk to us about why Nigerians should travel right and not illegally and all of that. And then, of course, you know, if you look at the nature of Nigerians, many people just like traveling, whether for pleasure, tourism, all sort of things, here and there, business, and all of that. But then they post pictures outside the country and everything looks like it's greener over there. And so it entices a whole lot of people, including the uneducated ones, to want to go out of the country. So how do we present this in such a way that people will know that there are routes to legal migration without having to subject yourself, you know, to these very harsh conditions, and people dying and all of that, just because you want to earn a source of living outside the country?
Yeah, I think the first thing we establish when we talk about that issue is to realize that to migrate is a human right of every person. And what that entails is that if the condition where you are is no longer favorable, the Human Rights Declaration, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, allows you to move to where you want to.
That means even someone in the U.S. can migrate to Nigeria.
Of course, we see a number of them who are here working as well.
As economic migrants.
Yes, they're economic migrants. So, and what happens in the reality is that a good number of Nigerians migrate, as you say, and what does not come to the knowledge of the public is that a higher percentage of these Nigerians who migrate actually use the regular ways to migrate. It is only a very few that use the irregular routes, and those irregular routes are not just about traveling through the irregular channels, but also staying in countries expiring where your stay has expired, or working within a status that does not permit you to do that. So all these are what we call the irregular migration status, as it were. Why it is important that people don't do that is that it makes you vulnerable. Vulnerable in the sense that you are exposed to exploitation, discrimination, as the case may be. And we see in such states, especially if you are a labor migrant, and you don't have regular documentation to do so. There are tendencies that people who want to maximize profit can exploit your own power and energy to do things and pay you less. They don't provide any incentive or anything at all that covers you, which regular migration would give to you. You know, and even within that, the United Nations in 1975 said, even though people are in such condition, they should not be called illegal migrants. Because if you use the concept illegal, you're making them criminals. So that resolution said there's a difference between criminal offense. I
don't think they've taken into focus what Donald Trump has been doing with ICE and all of that. I mean, if there's any country that should be obeying that, it's the U.S. And you've seen that it looks like the chief violator, of such UN conventions.
Of course, but you know, when that somebody violates the law does not make it right. You know, so that he's at least you're able to say he's a violator of that law. So what we are saying, in fact, is that as much as people know that, then we put humanitarian issues where they are, and then put criminal issues where they are. And this is why other countries, many countries, are choosing these regular, dignified ways of returning those who are on such status that they cannot accommodate in their place back to various countries of origin.
With all human rights
attached. All human rights attached to it.
All right. I just want you to listen to this very well, because it's generating lots of concerns online. A Nigerian who's called Daddy Eni at George 0491 posted this a few days ago. I dreamt it, prayed for it, walked towards it when I didn't even know how I'd get there. But here I am today living it, and it feels so normal. So he got a Canadian citizenship. And now there's this gentleman called Scott at Scott's Bolshevik, saying that no group celebrates Western citizenship like Nigerians. They make a spectacle of it, and you think escaping home is the dream. Is Nigeria really that unlivable?
You know, I think these questions are personal, and that is why migration is also a personal decision. You know, what makes you...
Well, a whole lot of Nigerians are actually very angry that, you know, there was this question. It's making us look bad before the international community.
But
it looks like our country is like the worst place on earth to stay. That's why when you get citizenship, you just advertise it online. But in terms of the number of countries people are migrating, Nigeria is not like in the 20th.
No,
with huge migration figures.
As a matter of fact, the fact also is that apart from people coming into the country, there's no African country that is among the first 20 most migrating countries in the world. So, but it looks like all of Africans are going away. But that is the population. But something I want to point from this, you said, and the reaction that are coming from it, that we should not be worried about whether it's bringing shame to us or not, because people are saying they found a happy place to be. This is what life is about. You can find a happy place even where that is the worst place, but that is a unique personal thing. So what we should be concerned about is what makes it almost impossible, or make people perceive that it's impossible for them to thrive in a place they call home. Even those persons who get the Canadian or Western citizenship, the longing for home, the desire, the nostalgia to be back home in Nigeria does not end. And this is why everything they do, they still lock into that. So this is why the policy is asking that every agency and every part of the Nigerian government, our system, must do conscious effort to see that opportunities that enable people to thrive in the country are provided, security, job, and other or what we call necessary amenities of life. All
right, Reverend Father, just before I let you go, talk to us about how NGOs like yours too have been helping to enlighten Nigerians on, you know, the challenges out there, and then how the government can work to make this new migration policy that will be coming up a success.
I think one of the things that Nigerian migration governance has done so well is to adopt what we call a whole of government and whole of society approach. And this is a situation where all the various stakeholders, state and non-state actors, are enabled to participate effectively according to their capacity to ensure safe and regular migration and governance. So what we do is, because NGOs and non-government actors are more of the awareness people, policy deliverers on the grassroots, and then they are also advocates of implementation. So the government allow us, like National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, which is the coordinating agency, provides this platform for us to carry this awareness. We are not doing it only on national level, we are doing it on zonal level. We just came back from this morning, and then we're going to Kano to do that for Northeast and Northwest, and then go to Lagos to do for Southwest. And then we have the collaboration of agencies, like NCFRMI, help the collaboration of their partner agency like International Organization for Migration, EU, to come together, and United Nations Migration Trust Fund, to help to do this. And the idea is that if Nigeria gets migration governance well, it will be good for our country, and then good for the global migration dynamics. All
right, very interesting submission indeed, and we just hope it covers what Nigerians call Jakba. Because some people are also saying there's what's called Jakbada. People are coming back, those who have stayed abroad, and they've gone to see that it's not as luxurious as people say it is, and you know, it could be a little bit difficult over there. But just last one word in 30 seconds, talk to us about those Nigerians who may choose to come back home after they've gone to taste the world and discover that, look, there's no place like home.
Yes, I think the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission provides a very strong framework for engaging the returning diaspora, or those who don't want to return but want to still engage. That there are various ways, either by in real estate or anything you are good to do, they provide the opportunity to do that. And those who are also in a very deplorable state and want to come back home, that's a process we call voluntary return, readmission, and integration. That helps you to return in dignity and then sustainably integrate.
All right, Reverend Father Emeka Obiezu, we must thank you so much for coming to join us. He's the National Coordinator of the Civil Society Network on Migration and Development, and we're all looking forward to this new migration policy, and we hope the federal government hastens it so that we'll have a better policy that works for us all. Well, that's as much we can take on this edition of This Week. Thanks to our production team here in Abuja, Lagos, and London. Do join us same time next week for another exciting edition. I'm Samna Sambo.